Hello everyone, my name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, we have the great pleasure of having with us Pedro Carrillo. Pedro is an instructor and actually the director of a yoga school in Peru. He is a specialist in Ayurvedic techniques, and we're going to be talking today about how to release blockages in your energetic or subtle body. But before starting with Pedro, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we are going to be talking here today. Also, when we are live streaming, we have an active chat. It's a screen you're going to be seeing on my side or under the video in case that you're following us from a smartphone, and through there you can interact with us. We're not going to delay this any further, and I have the great pleasure of introducing Pedro. Pedro, welcome to Mindalia. The screen is yours. How are you?
Hi, Myrna. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to share this information with your audience. I'm great. Thank you. So I just go ahead. Start.
Well, yes, definitely. Let me ask you a couple questions about what you do. As I was saying before, you are a yoga instructor, right? So can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your background, or what brought you to start, for
Okay.
the formation in this technique in your life?
Well, I started as a teenager. I was always very curious and wanted to know more about well, growing internally, understanding my mind, understanding myself. So I started very young, and I've been traveling around the world all my life, to Asia, to the States, to Europe, Africa, here in South America as well, trying to learn how to basically how to be a better person and be happy. I think that's what's important, and to share love with people on my path.
Thank
So
you.
yes, okay, you're welcome.
That makes definitely something very interesting. And nowadays, you are part of a yoga school. And tell me, first of all, a little bit about, because I see, as per your curriculum, that you specialize in Ayurvedic techniques. We hear a lot about yoga, we don't hear a lot of Ayurvedic techniques. And how is that relationship between Ayurvedic, yoga, and our subtle body? What,
Yeah,
how does
well,
it help?
yoga and Ayurveda are like two sides of the same coin. So it's very important when we practice yoga to integrate Ayurvedic concepts. But that's not really the topic today, even if they are two sides of the same coin. So today we're gonna more be talking about the subtle body, the energetic body, and this relates more to Tantra actually. So they are all very related, and even if nowadays people have a concept of tantra of being maybe some sexual practice, tantra is something much deeper. It's about working with yourself, cleaning your body, cleaning your mind, and growing as a person. So yes, there is a very intimate relationship between yoga and Ayurveda, but that's a completely different topic, even if it's very related. Yeah. Yeah, so we have our physical body, and our physical body is a reflection of our energetic body. So even if we feel that it's very material, we know by science that we're just made of atoms, and it's mainly 99.999% emptiness. That's what our body really is, the space between these electrons and protons, and it's just a bunch of emptiness, of space. So we have this appearance of the body and the material world being solid, but this is exactly what yoga is about waking up. The awakening, the enlightenment that yoga talks about, is about realizing that this material world, this universe, it's just an illusion. and about realizing what's the real essence behind this, that whatever eternal divinity, what people call God, what people call the spirit, the soul, it's a concept of oneness that's inside every little cell in our body. There's that consciousness. So the subtle body or the energetic body, what people mainly know about this is the chakras. A lot of people have heard about the chakras, and we have an idea about the chakras, but it's a much wider concept within yoga, Ayurveda, and Tantra. We have what's known as the koshas, which are the sheets or the layers that are covering this true self or our higher self. It's really, these are just words of people get a little bit entangled and confused about what is my true self, what is my higher self, what is God, and all these questions. And it's just the essence behind what seems to be solid, what seems to be real. So basically, the concept in yoga about awakening is as if you would be having a lucid dream. So, when we're dreaming, we don't realize we're dreaming. And then sometimes some people have lucid dreams. And what a lucid dream is, when you're dreaming and you realize you're dreaming. You can suddenly, you're inside your dream and it's like, oh, wow, this is a dream. And what happens when that happens, if you try to tell these other characters, these other people you're dreaming about, you're telling them like, hey, this is a dream, they will always say, no, there's no way, this is not a dream. This is kind of how dreams are constructed. It's very difficult to convince any of these dream characters that it is a dream. And all these dream characters are just reflections of you, are just projections of you. Even if you're dreaming about your friends or your family or whoever. And it's yoga, what yoga says is that even this material world, this awakened life, it's also a dream, but much deeper. So let's say that you're having a lucid dream and you start telling people like, hey, this is a dream. They will say, no way. Even if you would fly in front of them, they would say like, hey, you always fly. This is not a dream. And the same thing happens here. We try that people realize, hey, this is an illusion. And people will say, no, this is solid. This is the real world, this universe, my body, my mind. So there's a lot of times there's this conflict between religious people and scientists that don't agree upon, but it's both are focusing on something that's not really that higher self. So the higher self has no attributes, has no name, has no differences. It's not about different belief systems. It's a one law, universal law. So subtle body, the energetic body, what I want to share about is, so I mentioned the koshas, which are these layers. We also have the prana. So prana is our energetic or vital air. And there's different pranas as well. We have 5 different pranas. And this is it's a concept I want to develop during this talk, how these 5 different pranas affect our body and how we can learn to clean them and make them flow properly through our energetic channels. We also have the nadis, which are like the energetic rivers or the energetic channels. So the chakras, a lot of times, so even if these are concepts that are reflecting a much higher reality that's so difficult to explain, but the chakras gives us tools. What people ignore a lot of times is that these 7 chakras, or more or less chakras depending on the system we're using, they're all connected by these nadis. The nadis are these rivers of energy through which the prana, these 5 different pranas flow, these 5 different airs. So I want to talk a little bit about those things. Eventually, even if this prana and chakras, koshas, nadis seem to be very yoga related, they actually come from the tantric traditions. So tantra is more about divinizing everything, making everything divine, understanding that everything in this material world is just a reflection of that divinity that's inside every cell. I also want to talk about the bandhas. So people that practice yoga, some people that practice yoga, especially people that practice Kundalini yoga or also Ashtanga yoga, relate a lot to the bandhas. Bandhas are the energetic locks, mainly three locks that we can apply in our physical body to control the energy. Okay, so um, okay. Yes. Well, Charito, porfa, trata de no hacer mucho ruido un ratito, ¿ya? Okay, sorry, yeah, there's some noise in the background. So, the bandas, these energetic locks, I prefer to call them valves because there's something we can control. We can allow more or less energy to flow through these channels and to feed these chakras. So each one of the chakras are, let's say, vortices or energetic lakes, where pools where the energy gets sometimes stagnant, sometimes it overflows and creates imbalances. So the whole thing is about understanding what imbalances we're having in our subtle energetic body. So whatever blockages that we develop because we don't digest, this has a lot to do with that, our inner fire, our digestive fire, how we digest emotions and experiences, situations. And this is so important for us to to learn how to digest, because when we don't digest, all these emotions and experiences get lodged in different parts of our subtle body, of our energetic body. Let's say in our chakras. There's even smaller chakras, which are called the marma points. Marma points, we have 107 of these, 100 more of these small pools than the chakras. And let's say whatever pain that you experience in your physical body, whatever pain you experience in your mental body, these are all blockages that you have put there at some point in your life. You have put them there because you didn't digest, you didn't process whatever experience. And this is because of, mainly because of labeling. So we tend to label things in our life. We have basically two labels: I like or I dislike. I'm craving this experience that gives me pleasure, and I have aversion or rejection towards whatever experience that I find unpleasant. So, this is the basic of the whole yoga practice, to learn to understand when in life we're labeling. And every time we label, then we don't really digest. So this digestive fire that in Ayurveda, in yoga, we call this Agni. The Agni, eh, the main Agni is in our stomach for digesting food, but we have Agnis all over our body, even on the membranes of the cells and on the center of the cells. So every cell on their membrane, on the outer part of the cell, when we label, the cells don't allow this experience to be processed. So every time that you label some experience like, I don't like this, I don't want to see this, then your cells will not process this. You will not digest this. And just as food, when we eat, eventually our digestion will separate all the molecules and even separate everything into the subtle elements, into the earth element, water element, air element, fire element. And when we're labeling, we don't allow this to happen. So then those experiences get lodged in between our cells, mainly in the fat tissue, like toxins. And our main fatty tissue is in our brain. So our brain, in this space between the cells, what's known as the um, intercellular fluid, which is part of our lymph, that's where all these blockages and small reactions get lodged, and time passes and we keep labeling, and this affects us internally, and eventually this manifests as a projection in our physical body. And this is why we tend to maybe uh, even freckles or moles that we develop in our body. These are just reflections of those inner blockages. And every kind of sickness, every kind of disease, it starts from this emotional labeling, not wanting to process, not wanting to see. This is the basic and the most important thing that I want us to consider. But still, I want to expose a little more what this subtle body is. So, bandhas, I was mentioning the bandhas that a lot of yoga practitioners use. We have this what's called mula bandha, which is our root lock. When our pelvic floor, we kind of contract and bring it inwards to control the prana that goes downwards. So I was mentioning we have 5 different pranas. Okay, I know there's going to be a lot of these strange Sanskrit words. I don't want to confuse anybody with this, but we need to use them to really be able to explain further. So let's say between these 5 pranas, the main ones are prana, it's the prana, and apana. They're also called the vayus or the winds. So prana and apana are this duality. Prana kind of lifts us, energizes us, whilst apana is our excretion wind that takes care of moving everything we don't need downwards. So when we apply mula bandha, this root lock, we are basically impeding locking so that apana doesn't go downwards. Okay, this is kind of one that's the main reason, not allowing apana to go downwards, to stay inside our uh, our tridoshic area, which is our digestive system. We have that root lock, and we have also the throat lock, jalandhara bandh. Throat lock, when we're bringing the chin towards not our chest but towards our throat, and that impedes prana to go upwards to the head. So what we're trying to do with these 2 locks is mix prana and apana in our digestive system in order for the kundalini energy. Kundalini comes from the root kundal, which is like a lock, the hair lock, yeah, a curly hair. So kundalini is like um, a spring. Okay, yes, a spring. So it kind of bounces. So kundalini is in some way dormant or trapped in our first chakra, our root chakra. And through this practice of applying mula and jalandhara bandha, this root and throat lock, we will kind of make kundalini wake up and rise through the nadis, penetrating each of the chakras. And this is what's known as the enlightenment or the awakening experience. So lots of concepts. We have a third bandha, which is Uddiyana bandha, or known also as our navel lock. And this we can only apply after a full exhalation. There's a lot of times I have seen yoga teachers cue to apply Uddiyana bandha anytime during a postural practice. This is not possible. We can only apply this on a completely empty lungs, because that's when the diaphragm is higher up, pushing up our lungs, and this allows the belly button to be sucked in. And this is really what awakens Kundalini. But of course, just applying the bandhas will not awaken Kundalini if we have too much toxins. So we get a lot of toxins from bad eating habits, from bad relationships, from all this labeling. And as long as we're toxic inside, we have blockages, this spiritual awakening will not happen. So I was mentioning koshas. Koshas are these layers that cover your true self. And it's important for us to understand what these are and how to work with them. So the first kosha is known as Annamaya kosha. Anna means food. It's the layer of food, basically your physical body. So if your Annamaya kosha, your physical body, is toxic because you're eating all these processed foods, be it refined sugar or refined gluten, dairy products, all this MSG, and yeah, most people nowadays are getting conscious about nutrition. There's even so many sometimes chemical in tap water, even the things that we put in our body like shampoo or deodorant or whatever creams and nail polishing and all these products that people use, these are making your anamaya kosha toxic. So we need to first start detoxing the physical body. Further in within this anamaya kosha, we have pranamaya kosha. Prana, energetic, yeah, and prana, most people know what prana relates to, that vital energy. So this relates to how we're breathing. So if we have bad breathing habits, our pranamaya kosha will be affected. If we have bad eating habits, that will also affect pranamaya kosha. Even if we don't expose ourselves enough to nature, to the sun, to the winds, our pranamaya kosha gets affected. So all these koshas or sheets affect each other very intimately. So we need to learn to breathe properly because that's our main pranic source. And a lot of people have what's known paradoxical breathing. And this is when you inhale and the belly goes in, and you exhale and belly goes out. Lots of people learn to do this in school when they're having gymnastics or learn, they say breathe, take a deep inhalation, and people just get the chest very broad and suck in the belly. Paradoxical breathing, this is the birth of most physical diseases and mental diseases. We need to learn to breathe properly, and of course breathe fresh air, which is so difficult, especially when we live in a city. So further inside this third kosha, manomaya kosha. Manomaya kosha, manas is the mind. But actually the mind has many different aspects, and manas is our the mind that deals with sensations. So here's what I was mentioning about labeling and craving what gives us pleasure and rejecting what gives us pain. Yeah, rejecting pain, craving pleasure. We're always on this rat race, chasing pleasure, escaping from pain. And this is the concept. This is what keeps us in this dream, in this thinking that this reality is everything that there is, and not allowing us to see what's beyond the physical illusion, what's beyond our mental illusion, our projections. Further in Vijnana, Vijnana is wisdom. So Vijnana Maya Kosha, further in, once we learn, once we understand to see beyond, we're still having these sheets, because we can hear how all these sheets, the names, Anamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha. Maya means illusion. So these are all illusions, sheets of illusion. I don't want to confuse with these topics, but eventually we even have Ananda Maya Kosha. Ananda means bliss. And it's also an illusion. When we think that we're enlightened, we have a lot of these people that have that believe that this is their last incarnation, or that they don't have any karma, or that they don't have any ego. And this is just not allowing yourself to see reality, because the only thing you can see right now, this physical body of mine, is just an illusion. It's just my ego. My ego is talking. So going into the blockages, what kind of blockages? So these sheets involving around our chakras. First chakra normally relates to your fears. Fears, survival instinct, has a lot to do with fear about money. So people get these blockages when people, a lot of people, it's how we talk, how we manifest, how we build our universe through our words. So people tend to say, I don't have money, I don't have enough. And this makes people not to have enough. The universe is created from your words. So when people manifest, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have, they don't have. And that builds that first blockage of fear. Second chakra, this is our emotional chakra. It relates to the waters in our body. And this is where basically we feel, how do you say this in English now? Um, when culpa, guilt, okay, when we feel guilty, or when we make somebody else be responsible for ourselves, We put that guilt into somebody else. That's another blockage that a lot of people work with, pointing like, my life is miserable because your fault, his fault, it's everybody's fault, but it's not mine. And we need to become responsible to unlock this guiltiness trap. Third chakra relates to shame. And this is, third chakra is the fire, the action. And we are ashamed of basically fulfilling our dreams. So here also, it's about just doing things without really minding what people think. That's the way we would unblock this third chakra. Like, dance like nobody's there. Dance like you don't care. It's so important. We get so entangled. Fourth chakra, or heart chakra, relating to air. And here we have grief. And of course, the way out of this is through love, through touch, because fourth chakra, this heart chakra, relates to the air, and the air element relates to touch. So it's so important. There's so many people that maybe have been having some emotional blockages from experiences, and they don't want to touch anybody. They don't want to be touched. And this is the way to heal, through massage, through hugging, being open to having this physical contact. So important to unblock this fourth chakra. Fifth chakra has to do with communication, and it has to do, the blockage is mainly lies. How we tend to get entangled in lies, in not saying our truth. And even it's communication. It's not just about you expressing yourself, it's about you being able to hear others, to give that pause. A lot of times people just talk and talk and talk. And in a conversation, people don't allow each other to finish a sentence. People are finishing the sentence and cutting in, and kind of, I know what you're gonna say, and we don't really know. So it's about allowing to unblock these communication blockages. We need to allow space in conversation, allow everybody to finish their sentences, and not be scared of saying our truth. So lies, you have to think, there's nobody in the world that's important enough for you to lie. There's not, you don't have to lie. People lie about everything. People lie to their parents, people lie to their partners. Which, if you're in a relationship and you're lying to your partner, this needs to be assessed. This needs to be really taken care of. You can't share your life lying to your partner, because then your whole life is just a lie. That's a big blockage. So our sixth chakra, relating basically to the illusion. People, and that's what I was mentioning, people think that this material world is the ultimate reality, seeing beyond. And here we have the pineal gland, and we see how nowadays a lot of talk about, especially fluoride, that we find in toothpastes, in the water nowadays. So important to detoxify from fluoride, to detoxify our pineal gland, and to be able to see beyond. Very important to always consider that whatever you believe might not be true. This is the way to unblock this chakra. Being always, like, some people have a strong belief about, maybe you remember your past lives, but this person that remembers the past lives, or that reads the Akashic records, have to always know that maybe all of these things that you strongly believe in is just an illusion. It's just a dream that you have believed. This is the way to unlock. And eventually, seventh chakra has to do with our attachments, and mainly the attachment to our physical body, to our mind, to our ego, to our partners, to our family. So important to develop unattached love, detached love. Detached love, this is the way to unlock these things. So mainly when people talk about enlightenment, people think that it's about me, it's about how I see the universe, it's about me awakening my kundalini. But it's not. It's about us. It's about really learning to be loving kindness, spreading love, being kind, being sweet. It's such an important concept for us to really grow as humans, being sweet to each other. Really, a lot of times, even mainly men, sometimes have this thing that I need to be a macho man and I need to be serious. And these are just fears. Anger is just covering fear. So this is what we need to really understand, to unblock this all these different blockages that we have in this energetic body. So I was mentioning these three bandhas, and we have another concept which are the three granthis. The three granthis are the three main blockages in our body, and they relate to the chakras. They relate to the bandhas. So we have this first granthi around our Muladhara, our first chakra, first and second chakra, Brahma granthi. And here Brahma, this is one of these the three murti, the three gods in Indian philosophy, which are not three gods that are in some faraway mountain. These are three gods that are in your body, three rulers in your body, or archetypes, and that become blockages. So this Brahma Granthi, it relates to our attachments to basically physical pleasure. So in order to unlock this physical pleasure, the Brahma Granthi, we need to learn to apply Mula Bandha and release first, second chakra, which are our fears, just being brave and opening the heart. So I like the concept of fear hunting. Let's say that you're scared of heights. You need to climb up to a tall building and look down and get over these fears. Let's say that you're scared of being emotionally abandoned because you've had bad experiences. You need to open your heart and be, okay, hit me one more time. Be open to that emotional abandon again. This is the way we clear. And that's how we can clear this first Granthi. Second Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, second of these Indian gods, around our heart chakra and around our third, fourth, and even fifth chakra. So in the center of body, Vishnu Granthi. And this relates to our emotional attachments. Emotional attachments. It's also so important to be able to release, because when we have emotional attachments, we're kind of trying to control other people. We're trying to cling to other people and just control them in different ways, take over their lives with jealousy, with manipulation. What nowadays people talk a lot about this empathetic versus I forgot the name. But well, controlling. No, I don't remember in Spanish either right now. It's okay. I'm just flowing. I don't. Yes, but basically, what I'm talking about, it's about controlling. How so many relationships are about controlling and manipulation, and this is not allowing anybody to grow. We need to accept each other and be able to express our truths and be ourselves, especially in relationships. Especially when you're sharing your life with somebody, you need to be able to express yourself fully and tell everything to your partner, because there's so many, we're restricting each other, and it's obvious and it's natural that even if you are committed in a relationship, you will still feel attraction for other people. This is completely natural. It's not something to hide. It's not something to lie about. It happens a lot, maybe with some, let's say the example, a jealous girl that's telling the boyfriend, like, why did you look at her? And this is like, it's just natural. And the girl is also looking at other people that she likes. So it's allowing everybody, allowing especially your partner to express him or herself completely natural, and expressing their truth without constriction. This is what allows us to unblock this Vishnu Nadi, the Vishnu Granthi. And we have the Rudra. Rudra is another name for Shiva. Rudra Granthi in our head, and this is a lot about our attachments to lies, attachment to lies, and attachment to the illusion, to your body. So it's also, how do we unlock this? Stop labeling. Stop labeling. This is what's important. And I know that we're kind of running out of time. So to wrap this up, ancient yoga, it's not about postures. Ancient yoga has three precepts and three ways of life that we need to integrate. And this is what will allow you to unblock all these things. And one is the Bhakti Yoga, which is about making everything divine. Everything is beautiful. Everything that you do is an offering. Every time you eat, you're offering your food. Every time you wake up, you're offering every breath. every time you're making love, you make this an offering. Every time, whatever you're doing, it's an offering. This is a way to transcend. We have karma yoga, which is about everything you do it in service, unconditional service, not expecting anything in return. Just give, give, give. Life will give back, not to think about what's in it for me. And this is where people get really stuck, you know? I will do that, but how much am I getting? What am I getting in return? When we're thinking about this, we just get lost in the illusion. So giving freely without expectations. This is even what this paradise concept in the Bible talks about. The whole world is yours, but don't eat the forbidden fruit. And the forbidden fruit is the fruit of your actions. Don't look for a fruit in your actions. Just give without expecting a fruit. Finally, jnana yoga, which is, a lot of people think jnana yoga is about studying the scriptures. It has to do with that because the scriptures only talk about you. Jnana yoga is about self-studying, self-assessment, constantly observing your thoughts, your words, your actions, observing, assessing, and it's up to you to everyday learn. You're gonna cry, you're gonna scream, but then you have to be grateful because this is what life is giving you. And the same, you're having a toxic relationship. It's not about blaming, it's about being grateful because this is making you grow. We have that concept, people say, I want to become a butterfly, but the caterpillar never wants to become a butterfly because it implies for the caterpillar to liquefy itself, to just kill everything about itself or him, herself, to become that butterfly. It's about dying and being reborn. So everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And this is what yoga is about. Killing those concepts, those old concepts, and allowing yourself to transform. And we need to become love. If we can all start shining from love, from kindness, this is enlightenment. It's not about floating in some cloud and leaving the body or whatever illusion. Those illusions are blockages, Rudra Granti blockages. So it's not about that. It's about today being responsible and understanding that whoever hurt you in the past, maybe that was not your fault, but now it's your responsibility to clean this energy. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect. A lot of people think, oh, you're a yoga teacher or yoga practitioner and you need to be perfect. Yoga teachers don't smoke, don't drink, don't dance. And this is not true. We're all humans and we're all entitled to explore and experience, and that's what allows us to grow. So uh, there's a lot of things there to go even deeper. And I don't know if Myrna, do we have a little more time? Okay, awesome. So I was mentioning the 5 different pranas. Okay, 5 different pranas. I mentioned prana and apana. So prana is what gives us energy. Apana is what allows us to get rid of all the excretion, even whatever the body doesn't need any longer. Doesn't mean that it's bad. Be it feces, be it urine, menstruation, semen. This apana takes down. We also have samana vayu. Samana vayu, this prana, it kind of goes towards the center. So this allows us to process, to digest. We need to have these pranas very healthy. We need to have a healthy breathing pattern, healthy eating patterns, healthy relationships. And this is what's going to bring ultimate health to your life. Every time we're eating things that are processed or that are dead, this brings that energy into your body mind. We have Udana Vayu, is our communication air. So important for us to be able to communicate, to talk. And right now, maybe I can be talking a lot and expressing and having all these concepts. But a few years ago, I was a very shy person. And I've learned to communicate through singing mantras. So mantra singing, this is a great yogic practice that even if your voice is not a beautiful singer's voice, when When you think that, it's like, I don't sing because I don't like my voice, I don't have a good volume, or I don't know how to express myself. Once you start singing mantras, or whatever you want to sing, if you can conceive that what you're doing is singing to God or divinity. I don't like to use the God concept, because then people just think about religions. But if we're singing towards that divinity that's inside everybody, then there's nothing to be ashamed about. And that clears. It's so important to clear this throat chakra, this communication chakra. We have Vyana Vayu, which spreads the nutrients around our body. And this is so important and relates so much to Ayurveda as well. Because in Ayurveda sees, even if considers all these very subtle concepts that we cannot see, Ayurveda makes all of this part of your physical body. So Ayurveda talks about the 7 dhatus, which are the 7 different tissues in your body, and how these tissues are just uh, developing one from another. So let's say, for example, your plasma, the plasma in your blood and your lymph, this develops from what you're eating. And if you're not digesting properly, then that lymph and that plasma will not be healthy, will be full of toxins. And that plasma will become your red blood cells. And that red blood cells will become your muscles, and that will become your fat, and that will become your bones, and that will become your bone marrow and your nervous system. And eventually that will distill into your reproductive tissue, be it male, be it female. And it's so important. Here's the reproductive tissue, which is very physical, and we all know, we have all this experience. We need to really take care of all these layers so that your reproductive tissue is as healthy as possible. We procreate, we create children, and a lot of times this becomes, it's such an um unconscious, in many layers, practice. Because let's say that a couple says, okay, let's have a kid. Okay, and then the couple has sex, and then the kid comes. But really, it's so important, like, hey, let's have a kid, but now let's take a full year where we're gonna detoxify our body and mind. For a full year, we will not take any kind of drugs, and I'm meaning alcohol and coffee and cigarettes, which people don't even consider drugs, and weed, that's so commonly accepted now as well. But let's detoxify our body for 1 year, stop to eat refined products, meditate every day, have a physical postural practice, get strong. And and there's so many layers of getting rid of all these attachments, and working to purify our subtle body. And that way we can really, both the man and the woman, eventually be able to have their reproductive tissue so healthy and so pure and so full of love. Because that's also part of, let's detox for 1 year. We will really have very clear conversations. We'll allow ourselves to express our truth. And that way we can really procreate an amazing new baby without. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Pedro. We're about to wrap up. We are very grateful that you have dedicated this time to sharing so much knowledge with us. But there's just a couple questions we would like to make before we close, okay? The first one is that, well, we understand that we're not only the body, there's a whole of, other elements that are us. Why are we so disconnected of that other part of ourselves?
Where?
Why? Why are we so disconnected of our energetic bodies? Our
Okay, so
our Occidental culture, at least.
yeah, this is about programming. So we have a lot this thing, even we call programs, TV shows are programs, and there's so many different programming, and it has a lot to do with what I just mentioned, how we just procreate without being conscious, and then we pass our fears, our blockages. So from the moment that we're born, we already have all these blockages from our parents. And And then when we're socializing and we have all these fears and guilt and shame and grief and lies and illusions and attachments, eh, it's coming with us, and this is our purpose, to be able to process all these things. So the starting point is stopping to label. From the moment you're born, you start labeling. I like my mother's milk. I don't like when my mother puts me down. So if we and of course, when you're a baby, it's very difficult to work, but now you can work on these blockages. And this is what creates that famous karma. Karma is our reaction, action and reaction. And the basic reaction is that I label things. I crave what gives me pleasure. I reject what doesn't give me pleasure. So if we can start working from that point and developing what's known as this holy indifference, this is how we could really start processing this.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. And the next question is, so we understand that when our energetic body is not flowing properly, that's when we start seeing like physical ailments on our body, on our physical body. So, according to the practice, your practice, if we take care of our energetic body, that can in a way lead us to having a healthier, longer, and a higher quality of life while in this, while still in this incarnation.
Of course. So we know nowadays, even scientists back this up, every disease is born either from your digestion or from your mind. All diseases are psychosomatic. So if we have a healthy, subtle body, this means that you have a healthy mind and a healthy body and a healthy digestive fire. So that way, you can live healthy. So it's not about becoming immortal. We will all die, but we want those last 10, 20, or 30 years of our life to still be lucid, to still be conscious, and still be physically able. This is what it's about. Else, we just get so many blockages that once we reach certain age, we need people to take care of us. And that's not healthy. That's not natural.
Thank you. Definitely. Thank you again. And so before we close, there is two things I want to ask you. The first is going to be, where can our audience find you? How can they reach out to you? And the second is just to leave us with a message from your heart, whatever you feel like giving, more than what you have given already, because it's a lot. But that one piece of advice that you would give to people, like that piece of wisdom from your heart to our audience.
Yeah, basically, it's about being happy and grateful. If we can be grateful, that's for me what really has allowed me to process my life and be happy. Being grateful, especially for those difficult situations, difficult relationships, not blaming anybody, just being grateful for all those difficult experiences, all those toxic relationships. Being grateful, I think that's the secret. And sharing love, always having the attitude of love, even when we're sad, even when we're crying, being grateful. That's my message. And being kind, being sweet, so important. So I have my website is Yoga Detox Peru. So that's where you could find me. And I also, it's the same with Facebook. So it's Facebook/Yoga Detox Peru. That's where people could find me. Normally, it's gonna be my assistant answering, but I'll be happy also to engage if somebody wants to have some private consultation, for sure.
Thank you so much again, and to our audience, thank you. This wouldn't be possible without you. Remember, don't leave without liking, subscribing, leaving us a positive comment down this video. If you find that what we discussed today is helpful for you or to anybody else, you are also welcome to share this video. We are sending you a very big hug from our heart to yours, and until the next transmission of Mindalia live streaming. Bye.